Here we are for another round of the 70s versus the 90s, and it's a beauty pageant contest when I put Michael Ritchie's Smile against Michael Patrick John's Drop Dead Gorgeous. And this one was a hard decision to make because both of these movies are really good in their own right, very funny, and they do a lot to satirize and really examine what beauty pageants are all about and stuff. So first up, we have Michael Ritchie's Smile, which Michael Ritchie, one of the greatest journeyman directors of all time. I mean, his list of credits include films like Downhill Racer, Prime Cut, The Golden Child, The Survivors, and Cops and Robertsons. So this is a vast range that this man can do. Also, The Couch Trip with Dan Aykroyd and Walter Matthau. And the cast is led by the great Bruce Dern, who is just absolutely brilliant in this. He's the guy that kind of runs the beauty pageant and everything, and and he's got his whole attitude in the film is just great. Nothing really gets this guy down, even when like his son little Bob ends up getting caught taking nude pictures of all the beauty pageant people, beauty pageant contestants. The Young American Miss is what this thing is called, which is a really silly fucking name. But in the film itself takes place in California, and one of the small towns and stuff. And it's the film like really deals with like how like absurd, and like it opens with Colleen Camp giving basically in the preliminary pageant to get into this pageant, and you see her of course a shot of her impressive cleavage and her packing a suitcase, and we hear the judges talking and stuff. It's like they're like, this isn't a real talent, but there's only one she could do, that she can fall off the stage and all that stuff. And it's like they're all for like it shows it's not really about anything other than the sexualization and objectivity of women and stuff. And it keeps going into that. Like the young Annette O'Toole makes a comment about that, as she's like, Joan Prather, who's absolutely brilliant in the film, she's really the shining star out of that whole group, because she's the one that doesn't really give a fuck. She's here to try to like just win some money if need be. And that's the thing, for all the good it does, like it gives young girls scholarships and gives them, chance to travel and all this shit. It really still, like, they got to go through the ringer. The title of the movie is Smile, Keep on Smiling. And, they, even Annette O'Toole tells Joan Prather in the film, that's like, you got to, put Vaseline on your gums so you can smile more. Like, that shit is fucked up. It's fake and, presents a wrong image and stuff. And all that stuff, like she makes that, Annette O'Toole makes that comment. It's like, I like it better when they just judge you on your tits and ass, and she talks about a thing that some dental hygienist or dermatologist, one of those kind of doctors like that throw just because he wanted to get off on young girls, So it's like, and we definitely see that in the crowd, even like with Bruce Dern when one girl's doing some kind of belly dance routine, and you can just see the horny ass middle-aged dudes in the crowd just going on. So it's like it's a fucking meat market, and that's done. It's like his son having that with ring with his friends to try to sell all those pictures of the girls naked and shit, and it's just fucking crazy, And then we also see the competitive side, pitting these young girls against each other. Like women should stand together, but they're always against each other. It seems, like they sabotage the Mexican American girl's shit, she's got her fucking batons that are on and fucking explodes and knocks the whole fucking stage down, but there's a lot of funny moments in this shit too, like the fucking Bruce Dern's friend in the film, like he's like the town drunk, and he's all depressed and shit, and he's like, how the fuck do you have such a good attitude? So I learned a long time ago just not to expect a whole lot out of life. Now that is one of the greatest fucking lines. And it's crazy too, is like the whole movie, and this is the beauty of the 70s, the whole movie we're kind of rooting for Joan Prather to win, and she doesn't, because even like we kind of see her kind of not necessarily buy into it, but definitely get sucked into all of this melee and stuff. And she just, you kind of see the disappointment on her face at the end when she doesn't win, but you also see that relief, that it's finally over, because it's like these girls go through hell, they'd be oogled over, they got to smile all the fucking time, and, they just got to be treated like objects. And I think Michael Ritchie does that, portrays this shit very, like, perfect, it just has it in a way where, like, we're a fly on the wall in this whole procedure and stuff, and it really gets these dark, candid moments of like real ass people, and that was something that the 70s really shined with. And then we move forward to Michael Patrick Jann's Drop Dead Gorgeous, which is set up like a documentary, a mockumentary, if you will. And here we're in Minnesota, in a small town, and Kirstie Alley's the woman running it and everything. And of course, her daughter Denise Richards is the favorite to win, and people keep dying and stuff, and strange accidents keep happening because Denise Richards' only competition in the film is Kirsten Dunst, and like that she's like scared as fuck that she's gonna get it. But we get this documentary crew that's filming all these, so we get like it's set up just like a documentary. We get all like the interview shots and stuff, and the lovely a bevy of great actresses of that time that were still coming up, like Brittany Murphy and like I said, Kirsten Dunst and Denise Richards, and they're really great in the film, especially Kirstie Alley and Ellen Barkin, who plays Kirsten Dunst's mother in the film. They're just absolutely brilliant in the film, as well as Allison Janney, who is funny in everything that she's in. I don't think there's not a movie or show that Allison Janney is in where she doesn't steal the show. But the thing about it is, for as good as this movie is, there's a lot of laughs in it. They do a lot of funny shit. Definitely a lot of quirky characters. They really play up the pervert aspect of these things, especially the draw that these kind of events have for perverts. The Sarah Rose cosmetics beauty pageant and all this shit. And because like one of the judges is like a pharmacist, and this dude's a fucking creep to the nth degree. It's all about just wanting to see them young girls and stuff. It's like this shit is very creepy. And most of the judges look like they don't even want to fucking be there. But Kirstie Alley, she's all about, she's won it before, and she really wants her daughter to win. But it turns out she's the one that she blew up the one chick on the Thrasher machine, and killed the dude that was supposed to be Denise Richards' dude, but then he was hitting on Kirsten Dunst, so she killed that motherfucker, and then like it blows up Ellen Barkin's trailer, thinking that Kirsten Dunst was in there, and then so it's like there's the movie itself. They throw a lot of extra shit that's over the top, and I don't think it does anything to really like prove the point anymore. The insanity of it, yes, but what's crazy is like Michael Ritchie was able to do that shit without all the fucking over the top shit. Like the thing about the beauty of Smile is it's so understated, and you really get the point more. There's like the thing about the 90s sometimes is they would just take a sledgehammer to your head to drive the point home to you, and that's not necessarily a good, like, it's memorable, I guess, but maybe more watchable, but it doesn't make for the better movie, especially when you see something as great as Smile and it just fucking does its thing without all the fucking in your face, over the top shit. And, I will say this though, Drop Dead Gorgeous does not have any TNA in it, as where Smile does. But that was kind of a thing of the 70s, think about before the 70s, cinema was so repressed, in between the era of the Hays Code, which came in right the early sound years, has been 1933 to 1967, when shit was like really like fucking opening up for the with sex and violence and other things that you weren't allowed to show in the cinema. So they were really just pushing every envelope they could. Where in the 90s they still like weren't as repressed, but they didn't like go the whole hog because everything was so oversaturated, especially with sex and violence. And so like that right there could give it a point, but the thing about it is like the mockumentary shit gets annoying too, especially when you see something like Smile that does it like a documentary but doesn't implicitly make it feel like a documentary, because what the cinema is supposed to be, what the camera is a whole other character. The camera is the fly on the wall. It is the witness of what is going on. And, to have that in an actual film, you can make it feel like you're actually there. You are the camera, the audience is the camera, and you're feeling every part of that shit. So this round clearly has to go to Smile because it's just a better movie. It doesn't have it has all that other shit at the end with the fucking, what happened to the characters and stuff. And everything kind of works out for Kirsten Dunst, because Denise Richards wins the pageant, but then her mother ends up blowing her up, and then she goes to jail, and then Kirsten, it's just kind of like, it's very basic, where it's like maybe half a great movie. Because then, like, honestly, once you get to after the pageant, it kind of feels like it's just going on a little too long. Whereas like Smile, it ends like right after that pageant. They show all the after bullshit they got to do, and it just has that ending shot with the cop sitting in the car, and he's got a picture of one of the naked girls on his fucking visor. That right there says more than most of the shit that Drop Dead Gorgeous says. You know, it's like has a clear fucking indictment on society and how fucked up these things are, and it does it with style and grace. So this round goes to the 70s, 64-52 for anybody keeping score. The 70s are now up by 12. That lead continues to grow. I mean, with shit like Smile, you had a great director like Michael Ritchie, like one of the greatest journeymen of all time. You know, you can't really fuck with him. So if I've said anything wrong, anything you disagree with, feel free to eviscerate me in the comments. This is all an open forum up for debate. This is one asshole's opinion on some self-indulgence academic journey to figure out like who did it best, you know, the 70s or the 90s. And fuck, it's looking like I was right. The 70s were the fucking greatest decade of all time for filmmaking, but we still got a long way to go. Any film professors that want to use this shit, let's talk compensation, because like, you know, can't be using my shit without paying me, you know. But, and like I said, if you got any suggestions, feel free to fucking add those in the comments. You know, I got a long way to go. I got at least 6 pages of these things, and it grows every day. So stay tuned for more bonus rounds. Saturday, we'll have a main event. It'll be the mechanic versus the specialist. January is going to be an action month mostly, but you'll see bonus rounds like this. So this shit is getting excited, and I know I'm having fun.